Collective Obligation is easily one of my favorite exotic primaries, especially when paired with the right build. And recently, it just got a 20% buff against all red bar enemies, just like all other pulses. Because it's an exotic primary though, it got that old 40% buff from a while back, plus it can get another 15% debuff and 20% roaming buff to apply as well, so now it melts. I feel like Void overall is kind of in the best spot right now compared to all the other subclasses. Solar is definitely the best on Warlock, but I think Void is the best to run on a Hunter and Titan right now for most content. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions, but either way, Collective Obligation is able to take the best Void builds in the entire game and make them even better. Looking over at Collective Obligation in a bit more detail, the first perk is going to be Void Leech. With this, we are very simply collecting the debuffs applied to enemies that we are shooting or landing the final blow on. So that's going to be any enemy that has suppression, weakened, or volatile effects on them. And then once we kind of collect these debuffs, we can then swap firing modes and shoot them back out of our gun. Second to this, the perk Umbral Sustenance is going to reload the magazine fully whenever we gain Devour, avoid Overshield, or become invisible again. So with something like Devour, as you can imagine, as we get that to reproc on each kill, that means each kill is going to refresh our magazine fully. In this video, you're going to see me running this on Void Titan. I feel like Collective Obligation synergizes with them the best. And as you can see, the main buffs and debuffs we are taking advantage of are Devour and Volatile. This season, I am getting volatile rounds through the artifact, but any other season, this still works well since you get them through grenade final blows while using Echo of Instability. Devour, we are just getting through Orbs of Power that we pick up, and then also the new Void Breaches that came out with Lightfall. So with both of those stacked up, we are constantly applying and then leeching volatile rounds, and we also never need to reload since those final blows with Devour refill our magazine. The last pretty major piece to this build is then going to be the Aspect Controlled Demolition. This is why I think Collective works best on Titans. With Controlled Demo, anytime our volatile explosions are going off, any other enemy nearby is also then going to become volatile. So with adds that are grouped up, you can trigger a chain reaction that kills everything. And overall, I just think this makes volatile rounds on Titans much more effective. On top of all of that, whenever volatile targets do explode within medium to close proximity to us or teammates, we and them are getting 90 HP back, which is going to be stronger than even cure effects from solar builds. I will also mention that in seasons when Volatile Flow isn't available in the artifact, that is when Collective becomes a super strong exotic to run with Void builds, since that ends up drastically improving your uptime with volatile rounds. So next season, going into Season 21 or Season of the Deep, when Volatile Flow is going away, this is going to be much stronger to run. Something not as many people know is that Collective Obligation also gets a damage increase when using the Void Leeched debuffs. It doesn't say this anywhere on the exotic perks, but we do actually get a 20% damage increase whenever we're in that alternate firing mode. Just up against Karo, we are hitting for 1883 damage at base and go up to 2259 damage when we have the Void Leeches active. So compared to the base version of the weapon, you're getting another 20% on top of everything, so red bars easily die in 2 bursts, even when under power. As most people are aware, you're also able to leech the Weaken debuff for another 15% damage on top of this. In my opinion, it's going to be a bit harder to do this, since some grenades will obviously just kill things before you even get a chance to leech the debuff. But if you do get this on top of that, as I said, you get another 15%, which jumps us up to 2,598 damage, as you can see here, just to show that it works. Plus, you can always just run suppressor nades if you wanted that to be leeched as well, which is also nice since they're kind of weak, so it makes it easier to get weakened off of enemies too. The choice is yours, but either way, with just Volatile and Devour, this thing is nuts, and I'll have a full build set up at the end of this video for you guys to run. Currently, for Void weapons that synergize well with builds, I think Funnel Web is still the best option. The only things that are better are obviously going to be special weapons, and I know comparing a pulse rifle to an SMG is kind of like comparing apples to oranges, but since it is the best primary option we have, I think it's fair to compare in this setting. And what I'll say is Funnel Web is definitely a better option, especially since we do have volatile rounds in the artifact this season. But even after that, I think it allows you to just play much faster, and in most areas of the game, you can use an SMG effectively. That said, in settings where you might want to play at a further range, I think this is where Collective shines. Nothing else is really going to compete with Collective Obligation at further ranges. A Scout might, but there aren't any Void Scouts that I think even come close to competing right now, and there certainly isn't any Void Exotics that synergize like Collective Obligation does. So in a raid where you might be under power, or even a GM where you don't want to just face tank ads, I think that's where Collective Obligation is best used. I don't want this video to be super long, so I'm going to sprint through things here, but I think Collective is best paired with the Void Heart of Inmost Light build I made earlier this season. So obviously make sure you are running Heart of Inmost Light. Make sure you're on Rally Barricade for the shortened cooldown. Shield Throw, since you can use it at any range. The Grenade is up to you, but Scatter is going to be, in my opinion, best for killing. Vortex is best for leeching Weaken debuffs, and then Suppressor is obviously great if you do want Suppressor and Weaken as well. Controlled Demolition is obviously super important. Echo of Starvation gives Devour. Echo of Undermining is going to give you Weaken if you want to leech Weaken debuffs. Echo of Provision is nice right now, but I'd swap this out for Echo of Instability next season to actually get volatile rounds. And then Echo of Cessation is mainly for the Void Breaches, which are going to give us class ability energy. These are all the mods I'm running on this build. First and foremost, Void Siphon, because we're using a Void weapon, so we can create Orbs of Power. Firepower does the same thing with Grenade Final Blows. Bolstering Detonation gives us class ability energy back when damaging with a grenade, so that helps with the Hoyle cycle ever since the nerf. Impact Induction is used for the same logic, except we get grenade energy back when dealing damage with our melee. We make a ton of Orbs of Power, so Installation is going to give class ability energy each time we pick up those orbs, and the same thing happens with Innervation, except we're getting grenade energy back. You don't really need stacks on stacks. I originally had this in the build because I was using Special Finisher when this came out because Reaper was disabled. But anyway, make sure you're running something like Reaper, and then I have Bomber and then Outreach so that we get melee, class ability, and grenade energy back anytime we cast our Barricade. That is everything for the build. As I said, there will be a dim link in the description, and this was also from an older build that I made in the beginning of this season. Still the exact same setup, so I'll have that link below if you want to see that in further detail too. I stream a bunch over on my Twitch where we do lowmans and speedruns live, along with all types of other endgame PvE challenges. A link to that and my Discord server will both be in the description down below. Anyways, that's all for this video. As always, have a good one, guys. Peace.